Hello, it's Prince Easy. What's up, world? What's up, Zion? Well, let's get to it. Do have a couple slides that, as usual, you know the program, right? Sometimes I look at headlines and they're so, I don't know, for lack of better words, to be flamboyant, right? But distractions, I call them, right? So, I think here is a good place to begin at any, right? Well, this is from another talk, right? But the speaker, I'm gonna link a video again, the second time, so as we cannot lose track. Gonna link it again, right? The video that I'm gonna talk about. So you have to watch that. It's about 30 or something minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. Well, in this video, he goes on to analyze and state why everything is collapsing, and of course he offered the solutions, and also he addressed the root cause of this problem, right? And this is where my focus mainly lies, right? First, let's get the least complex out of the way, and that is the solutions that he offered, right? And he was talking in the lines of lessening regulations, right? Privatization, right? The words that he used was more in the line of unleashing the potential, right? Unleashing the potential, right? Well, those things, in my opinion, right, these are the same things that the political elites are suggesting even now, right? If you look at the tech bros, right, and what they are demanding towards the achievement of this AI supremacy, right? In this single aspect, we can confirm that all of these measures have been taken and still the system is still faulty, right? Because they have not been applied across the board, right? Let's start with the first suggestion, right? Deregulation, right? Yes, the regulations have been loosened, right? When it comes to what they could use to power their machines, right? We see that Google having given licenses to build nuclear reactors and all of this, right? And of course, there's been a lot of talk, extensive talk about how they train these models, right? Whatever thing they intend to do with the AI, right? That has always been a talk, right? And of course, privatization, I think that is obvious, right? These are not, they are government backed, of course, but they are not government owned, right? They are privately owned, right? Well, I think what was addressed was just one aspect of, right, into context, right, aspect of, most importantly, the economic decline, right? but also that one has to even wonder about other spheres, right? Other spheres of life, right? Talking about power, the people's ideology, right? Ideology also plays a big role, right? Maybe they don't find certain things so attractive anymore, right? And that might have a rippling effect on the economy, for that matter, right? But again, right, I have spoken about these things myself extensively, right, in these here videos, right? So let's focus more on the root cause of the problem, as he stated. Right, and here is where I think things got interesting, right? I have to say excuse me in advance, right, because I can see a bioweapon aircraft striking across the sky, right? As usual. So he said the older generation, right? The older generation, meaning my generation, is holding the last generation responsible, and the last generation holding that responsible, right? And he basically said old men, right? Old men, to be specific, who hold into power, and most importantly, as he stated, ideologies, right? Or what he calls it, empire, right? The ideals of the empire, right? The good old days, right? Basically reliving, right? I don't know, is it a, I don't know, life crisis or something? I don't know, maybe. So is it true? Is it true? Well, if you look at the world as it is set up now, it is true. It is true, right? That the most influential people in this world are still the people who are supposed to be retired and basically leaving responsibility to the newer generation to pick up, right? Or at least, or at bare minimum, right, preparing them to pick up from where they left off, right? And it's a simple tangent is, right, I think I posed this question a while back, and I said I question basically, is the new generation really ready to pick up? And the answer is really no, right? It's really no, right? It's really no, because, well, it's lies, you know, lies. That's the problem that we have, lies, right? And some lies are too grand that if we were to rewind time, right, these older people would make different decisions, right? That element right there, that is what they are not, I don't know, handing it down to their children, right? That urgency, right? That real truth, that the dire, the situation, the truth that the situation is dire, and it is not what it is all framed up to be, right? There is a secret world, right? There is a fictitious world that I would say 70, but that's me even being like generous, right? 70% of humanity resides in, right? And that creates a big problem. Why? Because you knowing the truth and basically that does not lead to the change in the outside world or anything of that, right? So in order to counter this, there are systems in places, right? There are systems in places of communications and all of that, right, to propagate a certain type of thinking, right? Why? Because the older generation is not really handing down that genuine experience, right? Like I said in a video a long time ago, I said like we are supposed to be a better version of you. That's literally an upgrade, right? We need to be a better version of you, and unfortunately they have not been giving game as of lately. They have joined the millennials and the Gen Zs in their madness in hopes, again, of reliving their good old days, right? They are not, I don't know, maybe they might be in denial that those days are behind them. But again, I'm not an older man, so I don't think I can apprehend what they are going through. I can only speculate, right? So we are feeling the effects of that, right? That our parents went to school, our grandparents went to school and learned, and most importantly, experienced life. And at the end of that, they didn't have a package of truth that they would then hand down to their offspring or the younger generation, right? Again, for the intent of being a better version. But again, power also comes into play, control, right? Since they don't want to lose their relevance, so they keep them down, right? They keep them down. The time keep going, right? And they, again, they will act the same way they were treated to their next of kin, right? So overall, it's a acute observation, right? That if we look at the world today, it is mostly not the younger people who are in control of anything important. And why aren't they there? I believe it's for a good reason. Like I said, I do not think, I think like they have that problem also. They are still living in that false reality. So we do not get no upgrade. We just get a repetition of mistakes over and over, over and over, over and over, because the experience is not being transmitted efficiently. That's why, right? I'm just speculating, right? My phone closed down. I'm just speculating. So the solution is the truth, right? The solution is the truth, and that's why these are the things that I've prioritized even myself, you know? Attacking all of these falsehoods, right? The truth is, for instance, we are spending too much time in school, right? The truth is, scarcity is a construct. The truth is, right, politics is not what it seems. It's not. So there is, I think, the uprooting of the said root cause of the problem. The truth, you know, the truth. The younger generations need an upgrade of lived experience, right? Nothing more reliable than lived experience, from my experience. Right? So that's my advice, right? We can begin there. We can begin there by transmitting they do love their bikes. So that's where we are, brothers and sisters. That's where we are, right? The older generation was lied to and traumatized, and they themselves, again, traumatized their children, right? Some even go as far as to compete with their children. How about that? They are competing with their children, right? With the current job market, with the current dating pool. It's a disaster. It is a disaster. The competition is is pretty high, you know. Older people are looking for love, like seriously, right? You're in your 50s, 60s, looking for love, like wow. Okay, you know. Not to shame anything, but I view these people as victims. I view these people as victims, right? And again, I do stand by that same thing. The new generation cannot handle the reality. They don't know the reality because it has been kept from them. So they cannot deal with whatever needs to be dealt with, right? So, yeah, training and a lot of, I don't know, illusion breaking stuff, right? So yeah, that's what I think about it. Well, on another video he posted, he went into the whole concept of power, right? Quite interesting video, right? And he goes into money, individualism, and national state, right? Talks about it and in detail, right? Quite interesting, actually, right? So, you know, he goes on into the true power, right? Which is related to alchemy, right? Turning lead into gold, right? Turning nothing into something, right? Fiat currencies and all. So they're planning to use spies, air power, and troops to stop. Okay. This is that untangling of knowledge that we inherited from our parents. Here we are, right? We are pretending like we are rediscovering the world, you know, like we are pretending like we are rediscovering the world, right? Right now, people tell you salt will give you cancer, probably. And meat will give you this and this, you know, like, wow. Like, I thought these questions, or others, I've heard others talk about bread. You know how long people have been eating bread? You know, it's a really long time, okay? It's a really long time. But the new age people, because they do not have the truth, right, about the legit truth, now they have to rediscover things. And when they are rediscovering things, of course, they are being lied to, right? They are being lied to, right? Before we even talk about meat, okay, where is that meat coming from? Okay, we are not talking about meat in general here, you know. You know, meat has become a brand now, right? It has become a product. Yeah, of course. I was hearing from the pipeline that she was gonna be let go. And again, this is that damaging. This is the damage. You know, they didn't remove 60,000 words. They removed history. Okay, they removed history, and that needs to, I don't know, sink into people's minds. Right? If a thing does not exist, then there isn't a word for it, or to explain said thing. This is just like when they wipe out the data on the internet. You know, they started attacking archives of old websites and all of this, right? They started attacking and putting caps on how far back data should be stored for. You know, this is all a control mechanism, right? But when we figure out that this is more important than this, we are doomed. I'm gonna keep it real with you, right? Why are we doomed? Well, we are consumers. We are not really producers of thoughts. That is, right? We are literally consumers. That's it. So again, we need to be paying attention. Or for these theoretical physicists, right? I always use physicians. I don't know why. Right? This is the most deluded, and this is no longer science, brothers and sisters. Now we are edging into, I don't know. Why am I saying this, right? Why am I saying it's no longer a science, for that matter, right? Because there isn't any proof, right? There isn't any proof, right? They might tell you, okay, we have temporarily created a black hole in the particle collider, a temporal black hole that dissipates within, I don't even, it's embarrassing to tell you the time that this supposed black hole, after the black hole appears, after they have recreated the Big Bang theory, right? So they began under the assumption that we have all agreed that this perfect Earth was created by the Big Bang. And then they went further with that lie. They then created the biggest machine by humanity, which is the CERN particle collider, to collide two particles to recreate the environments of the creation of Earth, basically. That's number one. Number two is to find the thing that holds atoms together. They call it the Higgs boson. Not that there is any evidence of that, but again, this is the science. This is the modern science, right? Why are we here? Not that these questions were not asked a long time ago. No, they were asked, and I do believe they were answered. But what we have now is I don't know, it's like collective amnesia. But I do believe it's especially COVID, like COVID, they were just taking out older men and women, just taking them out wholesale. What that creates is a situation where it's like amnesia. Like humanity has an amnesia now, right? But again, that's a tangent, right? So there isn't any ample evidence that such thing as a black hole exists, right? And another thing is dark energy or dark matter, for that matter. Maybe they are two things all separate. You can't even tell anymore. No proof, right? I heard a long time ago that they can produce, I don't know how much of this dark matter. They can apparently make it in a lab or something, right? And they say this liquid here is so dangerous that if it was to come into contact with any right? If I'm seriously wondering that I know for a fact at one point humanity stopped caring for its future, like literally just gave up. I was watching a very interesting documentary, and it was basically about the petition that some scientists in America prepared so as they can have it sent to the president, so as basically they were hoping it would deter them from using the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? But this petition did not reach, right? And one of the signees of this petition, a very famous scientist, I've forgotten the name, he said after that event in Japan, he every time he goes outside and he looks, and he says to himself, okay, these people are building houses, and I'm just trying to give a context, right? I can't quote, I don't remember the exact quotation, right? People are building houses and, going to school, they are hopeful, and his view on that was like, this is all futile, this is, right? He said, this is futile, right? With one explosion, all of this will be erased permanently. Maybe then we gave up as a humanity, I don't know, right? But if really we had a international conference, right, where at the UN, right, we at the UN, right, at the UN assembly over there, right, and then the scientists from CERN, right, take the stage and explain to us the merits and the demerits of the CERN particle collider. Trust me, if there's any ounce of common sense in the world left, they would stop that experimentation, right? And these are not, I'm just talking in general from what they have said could possibly happen, right? They have said they could create a black hole. That's what they said. They have said that they can create small portions of black matter. And all of these things, they are dangerous, brothers and sisters. I don't know if you know physics or anything like that. Theoretical physics, if I may add. And you find out that, yeah, indeed, we have lost our minds. You know, OpenAI, the head of OpenAI, he was the one giving apocalyptic prophecies about what AI is going to do to us. Well, did he stop? No, no. That's why I keep saying, whatever is coming humanity's way, we completely deserve it. Right? We deserve it. Okay, we deserve it. Because negligence, that's the simplest way I can, right? This, I think, I'll make a independent video about why this has become a big issue, right? Not issue as in problem, but, you know, again, now we are seeing that false illusion crack, and we are seeing the beast for what it is, an animal that will go you, stamp on you, then eat you. 1 in 4. Wow. That is not good, right? If we are to consider the current social dynamics and give a projection, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse, right? Again, they're back at it, right? They stopped, but again, they're back at it. Well, do you know that MAGA is a degree in masonry? I'm just gonna leave it at that. But anyway, Prince Easy signing out. Love you. Bye.